I know that you've probably got some cards in your collection that have gained some value that you don't even know about, like our featured uncommon in this video, Into the Flood Maw. I know you opened up Bloomborough packs. I certainly did. You've probably got some stacks of commons and uncommons sitting around that you need to go look through. Into the Flood Maw just recently got to an all-time high of $6. It's around $5 right now. It's a really good time to go pull these out and see if you can buy list them to a website like Card Conduit, quickly and easily sell your Magic cards there, or use them in trades or sell them to your LGS. I've got 12 cards that have hit all-time highs recently that you might want to go through and sell out of your collection in the short term, because a reprint will probably crash the price. Look at the timeline down below if you just want to skip through the video and see which cards I picked. That's completely fine and I get it. But if I'm able to help you find any value in your collection whatsoever, hitting that subscribe button is the best and easiest way to thank me. Joel, our Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards quickly and easily on the internet. If you find any cards in this video that you just want to move quickly, send them to Card Conduit. They'll buy list them for you and send you a check. It's that simple. I'm also brought to you by TCG Player, the best place to buy cards quickly and easily on the internet. Dragon Shield, the best way to protect your cards. And Moxfield, the best way to put your deck lists on the internet. There are a lot of things that can send the price of a card, and one of those is a precon being printed that didn't reprint a pretty critical card to the strategy, and that is what happened with Sapling of Colfenor. Sapling is a 5-mana 2/5 Treefolk Shaman with Indestructible. It says whenever it attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you gain life equal to that card's toughness, you lose life equal to its power, and then you put it into your hand. It's card velocity and a little bit of life gain strategy. If you've got a deck that has to do with creature toughnesses and or life gain, Sapling is pretty sick in that deck. It did not get reprinted into Felithar the Steadfast, which is why people are wanting it. That commander has everything to do with toughnesses and wasn't the only commander in this set that had to do with toughnesses. Beator had 2 different versions that this card can also go in, and so with the precon applicability and the fact that there were other commanders that players wanted to build, the fact that this didn't show up in those precons is why the price is doing what it's doing. Just recently at an all-time high of $13. If you got the Commander 2021 decks, you've got this card sitting around somewhere. It was in the Witherbloom Witchcraft Strixhaven Commander deck with Willow Dusk at the front of it. So if you've got that deck sitting around, or you had it at some point, Sapling of Colfenor's in your collection ready to sell. That deck also sent the price of Doran the Siege Tower. Doran is a green, a black, a white for a 0/5 Treefolk Shaman that says each creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Doran the Siege Tower did not make an appearance in Tarkir Dragonstorm, and with so much emphasis on creature toughness decks, Doran was bound to do something. This one has had some reprints, as you can see. Originally Lorwyn, it was in Double Masters 22, and that's what we're looking at here. It had a other copy in there as well, but you can see right at the same time as Dragonstorm came out, it was known, it was seen that this card wasn't getting a reprint, and it has sent it. It's up to $5 range-ish, which for a set that you opened a lot of, probably Double Masters 22 rares just sitting around, having those Dorans just jump from nothing where they were 50 cents up to around that $4, $5 mark. If you've got a couple copies of this sitting around, that could help you. It wasn't just Toughness Matters cards getting sent by Tarkir. I warned players, collectors, that these ancient dragons were going to get some attention coming out of this set, especially if we didn't see them in the main set or in a secret layer. And Ancient Silver Dragon is proof of that. This is one of those cards that it's not particularly spiking right now, but it's just going to consistently go up until we get a reprint, and that go up is going to be driven by things like Tarkir Dragonstorm. You can see big jump up nearly $10 from high 30s up to high 40s thereafter Tarkir Dragonstorm, but it was already sort of on the move. Ancient Silver Dragons, 2 blue and 6 for an 8/8 flyer. Whenever it deals combat damage, you roll a d20, which all of the dragons, ancient dragons, do that and have an effect. Ancient Silvers is draw cards equal to the result. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Really great way to fill your hand up. You've got decks like Ureni that was just spitting out free dragons onto the battlefield. And so when you've got those and they've got some cool combat damage triggers and you can kind of sneak them on, give them haste, that makes creatures like this even more powerful. I've also seen a lot of movement with two-headed Hellkite, the 5-color dragon that came out of the Commander Dominaria United precon that was 5 colors. If you got that one, this card is somewhere in your collection and it has spiked for real. I think it's being driven by the fact that cards like Call of the Spirit Dragons was printed into the set, pulling more players into 5-color dragons. We didn't get an dragon, like 5-color dragon replacement commander really in this set. They really focused on the 3 colors for all of their archetypes here, but players are going to go back to Dragon and be like, I want to run Call the Spirit Dragons. I want to run the 5-color dragons that are cool. And two-headed Hellkite is definitely that. This is the kind of card that is fairly difficult to reprint, though I think we could see it pretty easily in a Secret Lair or something like that. A 5-color precon is pretty rare. A lot of times 2, 3, that's where they like to leave those, most likely 3. They really like 3-color precons. But with a 5-color one, that's a little bit tougher. It's a full scarcity play right now, but if you're not using the dragon or you don't think you ever will, around $13 to $15 is where this one's gotten up to recently. Might be worth flipping out of your collection. Speaking of the 3 colors that they really like to focus on with precons, that's what we just got in Dragonstorm Tarkir. The most popular of those is Tevel the Balanced Scale, but Zergo is not that far behind as far as popularity. People are still posting deck lists online with that commander, and these are scarce. This was just Ikoria. You can see we're up to an all-time high of about $25 in May of this year. These have to get reprinted at some point. They've really locked themselves in with these Triomes and with the lands from Capenna that finished off the cycle. They have very specific names. All of the Ikoria ones are named after locales there, and all of the Capenna ones are actually named after characters, like it's their hideout or something. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to see these pop up or how. Hopefully, you know, sort of a Modern Masters type set, maybe a Horizon set. We could get these as one of the chase rares in there. I just know that this is the type of card, this is the type of cycle that they're all going to grow until they get reprinted, and then it's going to plummet. And so right now might be, depending on if you've got them, if you're using them right, like don't go sell the ones you're using, but if you've got these sitting around, $20, find a $20 bill, go towards something else, any of this Final Fantasy product, wait for them to reprint them, pick them all up low, and that the reprint will probably be a full parfait where you've got base copies, you've got extended, you've got showcase, and then you've got like a showcase borderless and a crazy foiling that's dragon scale, something like that, you know? That's how they do these. And so when they do get reprinted, most likely they will get slammed in price. Might want to see if you want to part with them in the short term. It's not just Tarkir moving prices, though. Final Fantasy is a little bit as well. The Tidus deck has to do with counters, as did the Commander 2020 deck. This was a counters-based precon, and lots of the cards in this deck are popping off because, one, we've already seen the precon lists, so we know what is and is not going to be in those lists in and of themselves, so there's no guesswork there. You've got a creature here with Slippery Bogbonder, 1 green, 3 other for a 3/3 with flash and hexproof. Enters the battlefield, you put a hexproof counter on a creature, then move any number of counters from among creatures you control onto that creature. So it's defensive in that it provides hexproof at flash speed. It's offensive in that you could, after attacks are declared and blocks are declared, pull all of your counters onto one creature at instant speed and that be your kill shot. Slippery Bogbonder's got some pretty cool application. If you've got a copy of this sitting around, this is the kind of card that when it gets reprinted, plummets for sure, but who knows when it's going to get reprinted. I'll call your attention to the chart though. You can see this card pop multiple times when there's a precon that shows up that's like, oh, counters, Slippery Bogbonder's back, let's go, and then it plummets back down. Maybe the move here is sell this one into the hype, and then eventually we're gonna see this card again and it'll be easy to pick up for cheap. I feel the same way about Agent's Toolkit, a blue and a green and 1 for an artifact clue. It enters the battlefield with a +1 counter, a flying counter, a death touch, and a shield counter on it, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can move a counter from the toolkit onto that creature, and then you can pay 2, sack it, and draw a card because it is a clue at the end of the day. You can see why with the Tidus deck this would be a very popular card. It didn't show up in the precon, so players are really liking it. This is a deck that's moving a lot of kinds of counters around, mostly focused around +1 counters, but the fact that you could get a shield counter, then be able to proliferate it with your commander and then move those shield counters around is a really interesting way to protect your attacking line. So with Agent's Toolkit, going from, look, nothing, y'all, seriously, cents. This was under 50 cents, popping up above that $5 mark right now. If you're not interested in the Tidus deck, just get rid of this one right now. And if you are interested in the Tidus deck and you want this one, I would just say be patient, because this card, just like the Bogbonder, slippery Bogbonder chart, I feel like it's going to do the exact same thing, where in the short term, people are going to really want it, and then in the long term, the demand is just going to completely dry up. By the way, this one was from the Bedecked Brokers commander deck from the Streets of New Capenna commander set. I told you there are cards whose chart just sort of goes up and to the right, and Archangel of Thune is one of those. This is one of those under the radar mythics that when it gets printed, you can see it's not super hyped, but it stays around that $10. But over time, without reprints, this card just goes up. It's crazy. It's because you've got Angel as a creature type on here, one of the most popular creature types, and will remain one of the most popular creature types. You've got a card that says whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on each creature you control, so it has to do with life gain, and it comes with lifelink, so it can fuel its own ability. You don't necessarily have to have it just in a life gain deck, but then you're putting +1 counters on each creature you control, so it's also good in go wide decks. Angels, life gain, +1 token decks, all those types of decks want to give a look to Archangel of Thune as a potential inclusion, and the price is starting to reflect that. Recently, up to an all-time high of nearly $57 for your Double Masters 22 version. You've got an M14 version that you can get around 40 to 45 right now. You can see it is also here spiking recently. This is just the type of card that will get printed into these top tier sets as an under the radar mythic that people aren't super stoked on, but it will silently grow in price over time. Another card like that is Out of the Tombs from the Universes Beyond Warhammer 40k set. A black and 2 for an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 Eon counters on Out of the Tombs, then mill cards equal to the number of counters on it. And if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and if you can't, you lose the game. Graveyard decks, period, are going to want this. The amount of self-mill that this card can do is insane, and the fact that it's got some backup protection for decking yourself in case that's a thing you do, also really good. Recently, it's Tevel the Balanced Scale. That's the commander that's the most demanding of Out of the Tombs copies right now. But look, going backwards, Myco Tyrant, Muldrotha, Onyxia, there are graveyard decks printed all of the time, and there will be more graveyard decks printed in the future. And every single time that happens, Out of the Tombs is going to be in demand. That will cause this price to just sort of go up and to the right over time until we get a reprint. Now, talking about reprints, I don't know how difficult this one really is to reprint. There's nothing about the name that's insanely bound to the IP. There's no words in the text that are insanely bound to the IP. And so I think that the possibility of this one showing up in like a precon or a secret layer is very high. However, right now, people have really caught on, and you can see 2 years ago, this was a $1 card. Even as recently as last year, this was a $2 card. Then it made the jump, and it slowly started climbing as people have caught on. Fantastic graveyard card. It's just going to be in high demand until it's reprinted. Very similar story with Exalted Flamer here. A red, a blue, and 2 for a 2/4 demon. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery at random from your graveyard to your hand, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it deals a damage to each opponent. These types of decks, anything with blue and red in it that has to do with spell casting, those decks come up quite often. We just got another one in Tarkir, and they will continue to be reprinted. Commanders like Stella Lee from Thunder Junction, they get printed, and people gravitate toward cards like this. We just saw Vivi from Final Fantasy, and I have no doubt that that is causing a spike on this card right now because people are wanting to build Vivi. Spellcasting is a powerful and popular archetype. Look at the chart on this card. You can see when a spellcasting deck gets printed. It's almost easy to track along the track of this price here. It jumps and then it comes back down. It jumps and then it comes back down. Recently, it's just sort of been growing, and that's why I'm calling it out here, because this one, unlike Out of the Tombs, feels a little bit more difficult to reprint. That feels like a very Warhammer 40k name, and so maybe we'll need some sort of Godzilla treatment on this. I'm not really sure how the IP license works. Perhaps we could see it in a secret layer, but I feel like it's a little more difficult for this one just to pop up in a precon, which is why the price is doing what it's doing. based on that scarcity. And then there's the Great Henge. They do not want to reprint this one too much, do they? They like the cost of this mythic artifact to be mythic in and of itself. This is the Throne of Eldraine copy, now recently at a brand new all-time high of $69. Nice. This one got that reprint. We got the, what is it? The party tree in Lord of the Rings. Boom, right there. We got a serialized, we got a couple different versions, and we also saw it in Commander Masters with the etched foil version there, currently at $103. This is the kind of card that you just have to take a guess on. You can see, look, we were up to 66. We were nearly there, getting up to an all-time high at the beginning of last year, and then we got the Commander Masters reprint. It only got down to 40 bucks. So you have to decide, is it going to go higher here? What's the risk? And can I possibly flip any Great Henges that I have when they're finally at their absolute peak that they've ever been, and then rebuy them when inevitably we get some sort of Great Henge reprint? Again, note what it did last time, from 60 down to 40s. It's not going to completely tank the price. This is going to be one of the cards that they're very protective of the price of. But with Great Henge right now, I think it's notable that it's getting up into that $70 range, and that is typically when the dam is about to burst and we're going to get a Great Henge reprint of some kind. Another scarce mythic here is Seagate Restoration. This is one of those dual lands that is a land that can come into play untapped on one side and is a spell on the other. This one is drawing cards equal to the number of cards in our hand +1, and we have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. It scales up over the game. You can play it early as a land or late as a big draw spell. Give yourself a Reliquary Tower effect for the rest of the game there. Just recently reached an all-time high of $36 for this. You can see Zendikar Rising in the extended, the pre-release, and then that's it. This is just a very scarce land that is harder to reprint because it's a modal dual-face card. It's tough to get MDFCs just on a regular sheet in any of the sets as a bonus set, so it's got to be something that's flipping already, and that is where we're going to see Seagate Restoration next. For a card whose price is really driven by Commander, this shows up in a couple modern decks, but not really that much. This is a card that I feel like when it does get reprinted, since we haven't seen it since like 2020, the price will tank if and when we do get a significant reprint of this. Hey, if you're still watching this far, thank you so much. Hit that like button if the video gave you anything at all. Subscribe if you haven't done that. And think about jumping into our Patreon. Got free channel sleeves over there, perks up and down the chain. You can get into our Commander night every Thursday. Play Commander with me over Spell Table. Let me know if there are any expensive cards that are on your radar right now that you think should be on mine, and I'll see you in the next one.